What's up, sneaker people? It's your boy FB Kicks and Gear, and I am back with another legit checking guide. And this time we have the Travis Scott 1 High Fragments. And man, the more I do these legit checking guides on this shoe, the more I feel like I need the authentic pair to be able to really hit it home for you guys, because I'm doing this video because I came across this batch and I'm like, okay, for the things that I'm looking for when I'm legit checking these shoes, because I am actively looking for an authentic pair of these shoes at the moment, I look for something that not all batches get. So I got this pair so that I could really talk about it, and nobody really emphasizes the quality on the Travis Scott 1 High Fragment, because most people aren't even really doing legit checking guides on the shoe anymore, but nobody really emphasizes the quality, and the quality comes out, right? Like, you can see it visibly, and I really have an eye for this because I've done so many videos on the original Travis Scott 1 Highs, the dark mocha pair. And one of the things that people don't really talk about on that shoe either, especially when they're doing these real versus fake comparisons and people are really reviewing the reps on the original Travis Scott 1 Highs, is nobody talks about how the reps of the original Travis 1 Scott High are terrible from a quality perspective when compared to that shoe. That shoe had the softest nubuck and the softest leather that I've ever seen. On a Jordan 1, I should say, on a Jordan 1. You know, I'm not saying that it's Italian leather, but I'm saying it's visibly better than your standard Jordan 1, like on the yellow toe or something like that. It's visibly better and it feels better, but nobody talks about that. So when this released, I immediately picked up on the fact that this shoe is essentially the original Travis Scott 1 High, but with the amazing white leather panels that those have across the entire shoe in white and black. So when I see that and I do my legit checking on those shoes, I'm always looking for that leather, right? And I don't know where this factory was able to do what they're doing, but they got that leather on the entire shoe. And before I even get to that, you guys will be able to go to the Hey Pop Instagram account and you will see all the pictures of this, because I want to make sure I take detailed pictures of this, because it's important that you guys see those details and you guys can educate yourself and you can make the right decision for yourself. I'll leave Hey Pop's information right here so you can see all of that, and you can go to that Instagram account and you can see all these pictures, and they will be pictures of this shoe specifically. But with all it said, when I saw that the authentic pair of Fragment Highs, where it's going to be the Travis Scott 1 leather around the entire shoe, I was like, all right, I'm interested in that shoe now. I'm really interested in that shoe. And one of the things that makes reps really easy to identify this shoe is that a lot of them don't use that leather that you can see you can visually see how soft that leather is. And then I came across this batch and I was like, holy shit, this has that leather. So I have to do a legit check guide on this so that people can know what to watch out for. So here we are. And the best way that I can describe what that leather is supposed to look like is this deep tumble all the way around. A lot of reps will have this white leather that has the deep tumble. It won't be as soft, but it has the deep tumble. It's the blue leather that doesn't have it at all. It's usually soft and smooth. And if you want a quick example of what I mean by soft and smooth, you can look at the difference between this one that we're reviewing right now and this. Completely different leathers, and I feel like this is super easy to pick out because of that really smooth white leather, or blue leather I should say, but these have that leather all the way around, which makes it visually, this would, for me, this would check off a lot of my boxes while I'm legit checking. So That's important. That is a big deal. So when you go around the shoe, you see it on the black here, you see it on the white, and this is super soft, super soft. This is what the Authentic pair should look like. When you touch it, when you handle it, when it's worn, this is what it's going to look like. And it's like that all the way across. This is some of the best leather that I've ever seen on a rep. But even with the leather being so good, it still has some things that allows me to legit check it pretty well. So let's go through our legit checking and we'll go from there. The first thing that I do want to say about this shoe is that the shape is a little bit off, and it's definitely, you can definitely see it in the toe box. The toe box is a little bit thicker than it should be. The leather rises to the top of the shoe more than I would like. Not too bad, but the toe box is still pretty bulky. Top down, the shape is pretty good, but overall the shape, it's bulky. One thing that I can easily point out when you hone in on the outsole is definitely too yellow. It's not crazy, it's not the worst that I've seen for sure, but it's definitely yellower than a Authentic pair. And one thing that people don't really realize about the tooling code on the bottom of these shoes is that they're not supposed to look this crisp and clean. You know, it's funny, like this is supposed to be modeled after like a factory use type of code, which would be put on like haphazardly. It's not supposed to look aesthetic, and usually it gets a little bit wavy and things like that, and this is just a little bit too clean for what I would want to see on an Authentic pair. You know, some people make the argument that that's better, which is fine, but it's still a little bit inaccurate. From there, honestly, there isn't really too much to say. One of the things that was disappointing about this one specifically is that you had a very, very, very soft midsole. Not very soft, but your midsole should not be doing that on an Authentic shoe, but it does that. It fails the squeeze test, so pay attention to things like that. Both pairs fail the squeeze test, specifically up front. It's a little bit softer. But other than that, what you really want to look for on a Travis Scott Jordan 1 High is here. You have this reflective cactus jack here, and this is actually something that a lot of other batches struggle with. When you look at the cactus jack that's in 3M here, you should barely see it. It should be very hard to see. It should be thin. It shouldn't bulge out too much. It should be thin, and the C should touch that. Let's see if I can get it to show up if I turn off a light. It should blend into the tumbling of the leather, and it does fantastically. I wonder if, can you guys see it if I point the black light to it? As much as we're struggling to see it, that's exactly what it should be like. A lot of reps don't get it that way, and it's super bold and prominent. That should not be the case. And you can see that the C is touching this top stitch here, which is what you want to see for Authentic pair. Same thing going on here. Very difficult to see, but the C is touching that top stitch. Another thing to pay attention to is the stitching. The stitching should not contrast as much as it does with the surrounding blue leather. It should blend in pretty well. There's a little bit of a contrast, but this looks almost like a sport blue, while the stitching is a sport blue, while the leather is a military blue, and that adds a contrast that wouldn't be there on Authentic pairs. So pay attention to that. But other than that, this is probably the closest that I've seen to an authentic version of this. Still tons of things that you can look at to legit check. Pay attention to what this looks like here. Positioning and the thickness. The thickness of the actual debossing should be a little bit thicker. These lines here, especially in the blue, shouldn't be as thick as they are. The black should be thicker, which would make the lines cleaner. but not there. That's not terrible, and it does vary on authentic pairs. The tongue is a little bit puffier than what I would expect on an authentic pair, but this is by far the visually the best replica that I've seen on these, and you have to be careful. So don't be blown away simply by the quality. Pay attention to those things. Pay attention to the sole. Pay attention to the contrast and the stitching. Pay attention to the way the tooling code looks. If it looks sloppy, you're probably looking at an authentic pair, as bad as that sounds. Pay attention to how yellow the outsole is. But other than that, be careful out there, guys. I am, one of these days, I will be picking up a pair of these, but when, I'm not sure. But one of these days I will. So with all that said, guys, that's it. I will leave the Hey Pop Instagram account up on here so that you guys can look at more detailed pictures of these. Please take notes. Please pay attention. Find things to hone in on. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.